So someone requested that I talk about my health problems. So I'm just gonna go by it diagnosis by diagnosis. Um, I'll start off with the fact that I have autism. I was diagnosed when I was 12. Um, when I was a little younger, they diagnosed it as a whole bunch of other things. It all turned out to be autism. I have depression and borderline personality disorder. Um, but I've already have a video on that, so if you want to check that out, it's a mental illness. It has to do with emotional instability. I have Ehlers-danlos syndrome, which is a genetic condition where your collagen is defective, and the collagen is like the glue that holds your body together. So I have joints that dislocate and sublux on a regular basis. Subluxations are a partial dislocation. I have them millions of times a day with every little movement that I make. Dislocations I have a lot less, but still more frequently than most people, and by doing things that are pretty normal. Um, Ehlers-Danlos syndrome causes a whole lot of other things like postural orthostatic tachycardia syndrome, which is a condition where your blood pressure drops when you're sitting up or standing. So you get dizzy and you can faint, um, which I did used to kind of faint when I was younger. It wasn't so much fainting because I was still conscious, but I was blind, deaf, dumb, but I was conscious, so you can't really call it fainting, but technically was. Had it a few times as an adult too, though fainted few more times. Um, Although in those cases I actually did lose consciousness. Um, I have osteoarthritis, which is from the EDS. Um, so my joints, including my spine, are deteriorating like a person does when they reach old age, which means it's not going to get better. It's going to get worse as I get older. Um, so I have acute chronic pain, which is acute being like severe end of the spectrum of pain. Chronic as in it's constant, which is a complicated situation. So I take painkillers and all sorts of other pain medications and still feel pain on a regular basis. I'm constantly in pain. My joints could also give out at any moment, which is why I'm also a fall risk. I've been bedridden for so long also that I have a lot of atrophying of my muscles. So they're a lot weaker than they were when I was like a middle schooler. Um, and that has caused my shoulders to actually trap my nerves underneath it. It caused me a lot of nerve pain. Still have an appointment coming up with a pain specialist to figure all that out. Also, because Wyoming has a new law that I have to see a pain specialist now to get my medications, because they're opioids, technically. It's a weaker opioid, but still an opioid. My doctor won't give me a stronger opioid. Drug addiction runs in my maternal side of the family. I've never had a drug addiction problem. I don't even think I have an addictive personality as much as I used to think I did, but after like smoking and drinking and things that normal people my age do, and not illegal, I've never had any symptoms of an addiction, so I don't know. I don't think it's in me. But doctors are paranoid about prescribing opioids, so especially these days when they're being watched so carefully to see if they're over prescribing. So I've been using a wheelchair the last year, but I've used my grandfather's transport wheelchair, so it had to be manually pushed. It had the option of propelling myself, but I'm physically not strong enough to propel myself, which is why I had to get an electric wheelchair. Go through all that process, which started several months ago, obviously, because it's a long process. I go to physical therapy. Let me see. I have gastroparesis, which is also a rare condition, just like EDS is a rare condition. I don't know if I said that before. gastroparesis is a rare condition. Most people who get it from severe, like end stage type 2 diabetes. Um, People with EDS, though, it just comes as a package of EDS. It's just part of the deal. Um, I have rectal bleeding on a regular basis of unknown origin. I've had tests, but every time I get all the tests, the bleeding is stopped, and whatever was bleeding is gone. And then it comes back, and I start bleeding again. I have severe intestinal pain very frequently, constipation very frequently. The pain that I have in my intestines is worse than my joint pain. Honestly, and I try to make this point all the time, is that the worst thing about EDS isn't the joint pain. It's everything else, especially the intestinal pain. It's like having someone reach in with these razor sharp nails, grab your intestines, and twist them. It's just, I've literally gone blind, like psychologically blind from pain. Or I would just be in so much pain that my vision went white and I couldn't see my mother's own face right in front of me. I'm screaming and wanting to be killed because it hurts so bad. But I didn't literally I wasn't really blind. It was just some type of psychological weird phenomenon. I don't really know what that would be called. I did go blind, but it wasn't a physical problem that made me blind. So yeah, I have intestinal bleeding on a regular basis, constipation, dietary sensitivities, all sorts of problems. Oh, I have incomplete bladder emptying. I used to have just completely no bladder control. I had trouble with it when I was little. As a child, then obviously it got better, like it would with a child. But as a teenager, it came back, and I literally would wet myself just out of nowhere, and in situations that were pretty unfortunate. I didn't really want to think about the problem so much back then, because as much as it was destroying my life, I didn't want to say, yeah, I have a bladder problem, because I didn't feel comfortable admitting something like that to anyone. Being my age, it just felt unfortunate. So I have bladder problems. I have vision problems. I have I forgot what it's called, but my eyes, I'm severely farsighted, first of all. Most of my siblings, I think, are at least a little bit farsighted. And one of my eyes kind of goes off, kind of like what you call a lazy eye. When I try to look really hard at something, or look at something like close up, or my eyes are just tired. One of my eyes just shuts out, like that. I can control it, like I can make it happen, but when I get really tired, I can't control it. It'll just be off to the side, and there's nothing I can really do about it. But at that point, I probably don't care either. I'm too tired to care. I also have PCOS, which I inherited on my mom's side. My sisters on her side also have it, which is polycystic ovarian syndrome. So I do have many cysts in my ovaries and hormonal imbalances and infertility, I guess. Unlike my sisters, I don't really have the infertility symptoms. Like, I don't miss my menstrual cycle. I get it regularly. I've never really had that issue. I've missed a few times. My sister, though, could go like a year without a period. You know, that's usually how PCOS is. Mine's a little atypical. So I don't know if I could or couldn't have a baby. Not like I'm really in the position to be trying. But we'll find out when that time comes. So I think that's pretty much everything. Let me think if I'm forgetting anything. Oh, another part of EDS is this condition where you have allergy symptoms without an allergen. I've been tested and I have no allergies. I'm allergic to literally nothing. But I have allergy symptoms on a regular basis: itching, rashes, sneezing, sinuses are always full, and doctors find that antihistamines work, which is connected to a condition in EDS where your histamine levels are always really high for no reason. They're just high. They just choose to be high, with no triggers. EDS is a rare condition. Mine is the more common condition, most common form of the condition. Means my collagen, like I said, is defective, so my joints don't hold themselves together very well. So most of all my problems connect to that. Osteoarthritis, gastroparesis, autism even, it all kind of connects. I've been feeling ill for 7 years or so, since high school, and it just keeps getting worse. And I'd been going to doctors all the time, and they couldn't figure out what was wrong, so I'd been going through all that mess for so long, and I just kept getting worse along the way, waiting for someone to finally figure out what was wrong with me and be able to start the process of getting help. So I kept getting weaker and weaker and weaker, and the pain kept getting worse, and my bones are deteriorating. So the wheelchair is probably going to be a permanent part of my life, which I'm actually grateful, because then I can actually have a life rather than just laying in bed all the time, which has been my life up for most of my life.